So I'm Roger with Campfire Tales, and today I'm going to talk about a very interesting pheasant hunt that I had, quite a few years ago now. Two of my buddies and I went out, down by the Tri-Cities, near a little town called Mesa, and we, just saw this spot. We were just kind of driving along and saw a couple of fields that looked like they had promise to them. And there was a ditch or a creek running through them, and we decided, well, let's go pheasant hunting, and so my two buddies had a dog, and I said, why don't you guys hunt together, and I'll just, go off by myself, and I just feel like, just being by myself for a little while, and I'll just go walk along this ditch and see if I can come up with something. So they take off and they go one direction, I go another direction, and I had learned how to hunt birds in the past by watching if a coyote was walking along and a bird was sitting there, if the coyote just kept walking, the bird would listen to his footsteps. And if he didn't stop, the bird would just stay still and just let him walk right past. But if he stopped, the bird would, just give it a couple of seconds, and he would panic, and then he would take off and fly. So I used that technique as part of my hunting technique when I didn't have a dog to hunt with, and so I'm kind of walking along this ditch bank, and I come to a couple of spots that looked like they could be birdies. So I stood next to them, and first couple didn't pan out. But I finally got to this one spot. Sure enough, I stood there for, maybe 15, 20 seconds, and all of a sudden, whoa, up goes this big rooster, and so I just take my shotgun and I just, kind of follow the bird along, and I squeeze the trigger and bang, and down the bird comes. And I'm all excited, except it landed right in the middle of a pond. And what the heck, geez, how am I going to retrieve that? And I'm watching the bird kind of flop around in the pond. And just figure, well, how am I going to get out there and get him? And all of a sudden the bird sank. And what's going on here? I've never seen a bird sink before. They have so much flotation in their feathers. Now I'm really, I've been hunting for several hours now, and that's the only shot I had. I'm just not walking away from this. So I went over to as close as I could to the edge of that pond, and I just took off all my clothes and as well as I could remember, walked over to where I thought that bird sank, and I'm walking along real slow because, you're kicking up mud when you're walking in that muddy bottom thing, and I didn't want to, get the water too roiled up. And I'm walking along, and sure enough, I see a feathers coming up from the bottom, so I reach down there and I grab it, and by God, it was my bird, So I grab the bird, and I come back out, and I get dressed again, and about this time, my two buddies show up, and I'm kind of, hey, look at my bird here. And one of them looked at it, he says, that's the biggest pheasant I've ever seen. And it never really dawned on me, that pheasants were different sizes. This bird, when I got it home, weighed 5 pounds, and a normal pheasant's maybe 1.5 pounds. Yeah, it was just huge. That's why it sunk, I guess. But anyway, we thought about mounting it. It was just really an unusual bird, but the hunt itself was just a special hunt that has really stuck with me for a number of years. Just kind of, just seeing a pheasant sink, if nothing else, and then kind of realizing that they grow in different sizes. So I hope that story, just kind of resonated with you, especially if you're a pheasant hunter kind of thing. So that's my campfire tale for today. We hope that you enjoyed this week's telling of Campfire Tales. Please remember to hit subscribe to make sure that you get the announcements for next week's upcoming activities, as well as the new topics for the Campfire Tales. Please also share the fun that we have here and let your friends know about our website. Check out RogersOutdoorChannel.org for more information and to stay connected. If you like the outdoors, great to enjoy this site.